What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Big Ass Uchia, and I want to talk to you today about something that I think would be very good for the black community to understand. This is thing that I've been talking to everybody about. I've been kind of going over and over with this. I've been preaching this locally, not so much nationally. I haven't got on the internet and said it, so I'm gonna go ahead and say it. We need to learn a thing about something called infrastructure. Infrastructure. Say it with me. Infrastructure. We need to understand what infrastructure is and why it's important for the black community to have a working infrastructure. Okay. It's important to have the structure in place. Okay. I'm going to explain infrastructure in the simplest terms that I can. Basically, infrastructure works like this. You have a system. Let's just use your body, okay? Anything that you want to do to the body, you have to put forth the effort to make it happen, right? But if you just go and do something and don't have anything to properly replace it or communicate the rest to your body is going to be off measure, which could obviously kill you. So, for example, if I was to just rip off my arm for no reason, well, it would start bleeding out and I would die. Infrastructure says, in so many words, that infrastructure says that I know that I need to rip off my arm, but there's other parts of my body that's going to be affected by this. So I'm going to make sure when I rip off my arm, I have either someone or something to go ahead and start cutting at it the proper way, put me to sleep so I won't go into shock. I will get a surgeon to take this arm off of me and cut it away and properly tie it up so that way if I bleed out, I won't bleed out as fast or at all, right? So infrastructure is there to make sure that you do not destroy what is going on. So, for example, we're going to use the black community. We need to have structures in place that when we go to make a change, big changes, that nationally and even locally, when we go to make these changes, it will not cause a big eruption when it comes down to making changes. OK, we don't want to cause ruptures in our neighborhoods where now no one can get any help. Now no one can do anything. We're just blowing up stuff. See, this goes back to my last video where I talked about how people talk about blowing up stuff and destroying stuff without any measure of understanding of what to do next. OK, it's not good to just do stuff and not have a plan for your next action. It's not good to just do stuff and not have a proper system to be put in place. Am I saying don't blow it up? No, I'm not. Am I saying don't destroy police reform doesn't need to happen? Absolutely, it needs to happen. Am I saying that there's no such thing as white supremacy? I'm not saying there's no such thing as white supremacy. I know there's such a thing. I've experienced racism in my own life, so I know racism exists. And as I tell people, if you believe in sin, then you inherently have to believe that racism is a product of sin. You have to believe that. So you're not going to come to this channel and not hear that. But here's the problem. If we are doing all of this planning, if we're doing all of this stuff without a solitary plan to take over that thing which we're trying to destroy, then all we're going to do is break a muscle. And that's all you're going to do. So good example. Let's say I broke my leg. OK, if I broke my leg, right, and my leg is now broke, you can see it on the outside. It's completely shattered, right? Shattered the bone. OK, so I go to the doctor, right? That shattered bone, shattered into pieces, right? It looks irreplaceable. OK, but you found the best surgeon ever. And now he's gone in there and repaired your leg, put everything back where it belongs, put all the pieces back where it belongs, and then wrapped it up and made a cast and put your leg in it for as long as it needs in order for it to go to get stronger, right? Now, I know this isn't like this is not the best, example, but if you go and you just break your leg and don't have any way of just doing it correctly, all you're going to do is put the muscle back in, but it's not capable of healing properly. And because it's not healed properly, all it's going to do is break again. Okay? That's all it's going to do. So if you go and just destroy the system and try to put something in its place, but you didn't properly get it fixed and didn't get the right people involved, all it's going to do for the black community is put us back where we are right now. So in 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, whatever, it's going to go back to what it was before because you didn't put anything proper in place. You didn't have the right people involved. You didn't do the right things, and you didn't have the proper communication to let things be known all around so everyone can make a decision together instead of being apart from each other. Okay? Separate functions, but all together. The Bible puts it like this. Can the eye say to the ear that you have no value? No, it cannot. Everybody has to play their role in the infrastructure. Okay. So if your leg is broke, now you need to get Mr. Surgeon involved. Mr. Surgeon is going to go in and put that thing in there, put it together and make it strong. Right. So now it can't just be broken next time so easily. But here's the thing. It works vice versa. If you go and fix it and bring your infrastructure in to replace it properly, well, then guess what? It's going to build in fine. It's going to come back strong. It's going to be hard to break next time. They won't be able to maybe even not even break it the same way next time, right? But let's say now they got to come back in, right? They're going to come in with their infrastructure and say, you know what? This infrastructure was always in place. Okay, let me go ahead and put it back the way it was, the way we know how to do it. And so they will. And it's going to be harder next time to break it again. OK, in the same place. Now, that's not not the best example, but it is an example that I do want to use because if you don't have the proper infrastructure in place to replace what it is that you're trying to replace, OK, all you're going to do is find yourself back at square one. OK, broken and not able to fix it. And I'll put it to you like this. It's been like that since day one. People always try to go back to what it is that they find comfortable. OK, even in the Bible, you look at Moses. When Moses brought the Israelites out of Egypt, what's the first thing they said when they got across the river? Well, we need to go back to Pharaoh where it's safe. Right. I mean, just people do that. They do that. They try to go back to what is safe. What they know how to do. When the disciples lost Jesus, the first thing they do, they went back to what they were previously doing. Luke went back to being a doctor. Peter and them went back to being fishermen. You know what I'm saying? So it's just that's what people do. They go back to what they feel is comfortable. And that will be hard to break. That habit will come back and we'll be right back at square one. So my point is, whether you take that religious part of it or not, my point is that everybody has to do something in order to make sure that this works. I don't want to see people just giving out whistles, to try to fix an issue. Are we prepared to take over? Are we prepared to maneuver into the next steps? Are we prepared to go to the next level? Are we prepared to have our own hospitals? Are we prepared for all of these things? And if we're not, then we need to be genuine and honest with ourselves that we're not ready for these big steps. And don't let people drive us with our emotions. See, one of the things that I noticed that white people like to do is try to drive black people through emotion because they think that we're emotional people and that cannot handle ourselves. So they want to keep us angry, frustrated, and overwhelmed. That's what they want to do. And they call it making you think. But no, it's not making you think. What it's doing is keeping you disabled, not together, not cohesive, just mad, burning up stuff, destroying things, making up more mess. And then guess what you're going to do? Guess what you're going to do? You're going to go right back to those same white people, left and right, and you're going to ask them to take you back again. And we'll be back at this point in 10 years. It will not change. How do we change it? We have to have the proper things in place in order to replace what we're talking about. And then on top of this, we're saying that basically we want our own. So we got to be ready to have our own. And I'm not just talking about buying land and opening up, places in Wyoming. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking like sensible stuff. OK, make sure you got more than just mama looking out for you, passing out whistles. Make sure you got more than grandma out there. Make sure y'all got something for when the goons come, because the goons will come. They will. Make sure you got ability to, resuscitate people, and, make sure you got nurses involved. This is not just an ideological way that you change. You got to have things in place so that way when things get taken away, you're ready to just maneuver this over, and whatever small minutia that may happen during that time, you're ready for it. You're capable of handling it. You know what I mean? So this is not me ragging on our community. This is not me saying that there's no such thing as racism, or you don't have a right to fight for whatever beliefs you want to fight for. But we have to be smart about it. We have to be cohesive about it. And we do have to have some planning involved. So that way we do not go back to what we were before. Let's make this a good transition. Let's make this a smart transition so we can continue to move forward in the future. I'm your boy, the Big Ox Uchia, and I love you, and I'm out of here.